This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social, and I'm delighted to be joined by CEO Frank Smith. Getting a bit of stick behind me now, Frank, ain't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not fair, I don't think. Charlie Sims is the soppiest geezer ever in the world. He loves his missus, which is great, got no problem with that. But stop posting like, oh, I miss you, 3 days apart. Oh, the bed sheets in the hotel just aren't like being with you. Like, it's embarrassing.
Charlie, do you want to come and join in? Do you want to have a...
Yeah, of course he does.
Come on.
You can't stay away from the camera.
I've got to defend myself here, really. But this guy, go down his Instagram the last couple of days and you'll see all of the posts that he's been sending to his missus. Oh, I miss you so much, can't wait to see you. Mate, what are you talking about?
No, I'm just saying, you do it every day.
I don't do it every day.
You're like, in the office, can't wait to get home and see my missus. Haven't seen her for 6.5 hours.
Now, look, your missus is filming this now as proof.
I know, it's cringe.
Well done today, mate. It was a good job.
Thank you, mate. I learned it all from you and Towie.
Wow.
Frank, do you feel nervous there at all?
My leg was like that. The table was nearly over, to be honest. No, it's all right. Do you know what it is? You forget the simplest of things while you're up there. You know when you're trying to speak and you just forget like the simple things. So I was looking at him for some advice. So looking for like a piece of paper, like what to say next.
Cue card.
Charlie, what did you make of Frank's performance today?
Do you know what? That's not an easy job, that, standing up there talking. Eddie makes it look easy, to be fair. But, you know, you've got to have good insight on the business, good boxing knowledge. Frank's obviously been doing it a long time, so he knows how to do it. But that's not an easy job, that. That's not an easy job, mate. Appreciate it.
That's the only, I was going to say, that's the only nice thing that he's going to say in the interview now, isn't it?
Exactly, that's it. But that's all we need. As long as we say one nice thing, it's all right.
Do you think it's just a matter of experience? And obviously Eddie's been doing this for years now, that he just knows the bees and the knees about it all.
What did you say?
The bees and the knees.
Bees in the knees? What's that?
The knees.
Oh, bees in the knees?
Yeah,
all
it's a saying.
Oh, I've never heard of that. Yeah, but I think the more you do it, the easier it gets, basically. So give me 10 more, I'll be fine. My legs will stop shaking.
We obviously saw a senior Boyfield and Ted Cheeseman getting a bit mouthy up there, and off goes Charlie.
You're going to go and post another Instagram story?
We obviously saw a senior Boyfield and Ted Cheeseman getting a little bit tasty up there. Yeah. Obviously, when it gets to them situations, is there a part of you which just wants to let it boil over a little bit longer than what you do, or?
Yeah, but it could go on forever. So it's like there's never really a good time. Like that, they could sit there and talk for hours and hours and hours. So I thought I'd leave it for a little bit, and then after, well, it was about 5 minutes, I think. So I don't know how much more they could have come out with of interest. So.
Talk to me about that fight. Obviously, it's a massive chance for Ted to win the British title. He's this week was over social media with Anthony Fowler. They want that fight as well. Is this as easy as fight as what maybe Ted? Not easy, but maybe is Ted believing a bit too much that he's going to be a lot more comfortable for him than what a senior might bring in terms of a challenge?
Well, I think he's just come off the back of two good wins against Upton and Carson Jones. So I think he's very confident. But none of these fights at that level, starting fighting for the British title, are going to be easy. But he's obviously very confident in his abilities. And I think on Saturday night, you know, hopefully we'll see him get the win.
This has been talked about as just being a trade card. You know, there's loads of 50-50 fights. You don't know which way everywhere's going to go. You're looking behind me, but unfortunately the camera isn't faced. No. But yeah, so Doyle versus Gill as well for the Commonwealth title. You know, Jordan's had a lot of experience, 20 fights prior to this one. He's stepping up now for that title fight. How come you feel like it's taken that bit longer for Jordan to put himself in his position? I
think just some fighters it does take a bit longer. I mean, we've worked with Jordan for a short while now. You know, built him up. He's had a few fights. First fight was in Manchester on our Next Gen show back in February, I think. You know, so we worked with him for nearly over a year now, and I think. You know, sometimes it takes a bit longer for fighters. They have to progress through the ranks. You know, he's had quite a few 6-8 rounders. I think now's his time to step on. He's a great talent, working with some other brilliant fighters in the gym, and I think that will show on Saturday night.
And we've obviously got Chamberlain Watkins as well. Yeah. That's a massive fight for both of them because they're both coming off defeats to Lawrence Okoli. Yeah. Whoever loses, it's maybe not necessarily the end of their career, but it's a long, long road back. What do you make of that fight, and why have you guys decided to put both of them in together? I know obviously Isaac's under the Matchroom banner or Luke isn't, but why take that risk?
No, I think it's a fight they both wanted. Isaac wants to get straight back into it. So does Luke. Both, as you say, coming off the back of the Okoli losses. Maybe that's a fight in the future they'll go after go on a run of their own, take on each other, and they've got to prove each other after those losses. Isaac went to points with Lawrence in not the most entertaining of fights. Luke obviously got stopped by Lawrence. So Saturday night, I think they both just want to redeem themselves and then build the way back up in a few fights. And then obviously Okoli's one that's in their sights. Where Okoli goes from here, he's moving very quickly. Just had the win against Askin at Wembley, and we'll move on from there. But I think it's, as I say, they just want to move very quickly back into the big fights. And credit to them for wanting to do that rather than wanting to come back in 4, 6, 8 rounders.
Just to touch on the Okoli fight before we loop back round, what was your thoughts on the Askin Okoli fight at Wembley?
Wasn't the best. I think everyone knows that. But I think Lawrence got to go away, learn from that, take something from that, and hopefully he'll come back stronger. And but you can't have every fight. Not every fight is going to be an absolute barnstormer. It's like football. Not every football match on Sky is going to be unbelievable. And it's the same with every sport. It's sport. It's live sport. And some fights are going to be like that. But he's got to go away from there and look back at it. And I think he has. I think he was quite open. Lawrence was quite open about it and come back stronger.
Does it take a lot to be able to just accept the criticism the way that Lawrence did, especially over social media when you've got a lot of fans tweeting you, pointing to you that he weren't the best performance, but at the same time, British and Commonwealth champion in only 10 fights, it takes some doing.
Yeah, of course, he's done very well. Moved along very quickly. But it's the life all these guys are in live sports. You've got fans; they voice their opinions. You can't stop it, and you just have to. You don't have to respond. But if you think they're right, you can take it on board. If you don't, then you just have to ignore it. But it's boxing.
And just to loop back to this card, there are, like I say, it's a lot of 50-50 fights, a lot of pick 'em fights. When you put these in, you take them risks. If it doesn't come off, what do you look back on in terms of a reflection? What do you look at it, and how do you look at it then?
I think, there's a lot of fighters who don't want to fight people now. So a lot of these guys here have stepped up to the plate. They've taken on fights that others wouldn't, and you've got to respect that. And it doesn't mean that if you lose against good quality opposition, it's the end of your career. But you have to get back in there. You have to get straight back to it, and a lot of these guys have done that. So, a loss doesn't mean the end of the world.
And obviously the main event, Ryder-Sirotkin, a huge chance for John after his previous defeats. How did this opportunity come about?
Yeah, it's obviously WBA final eliminator. John's coming off the back of 2 big wins, Patrick Nilsson obviously, and then Jamie Cox. It's like you say there, John's been in and taken his chances against a number of fighters, and again he's shown that you can come back, build back up, and now he can build into bigger fights. And this really gives him the opportunity. As I said in the press conference, you got Rocky Fielding's taking on Canelo for the WBA regular super middleweight world title. You got Callum Smith, the WBA world champion, who's obviously promoted by us, come out of the World Boxing Super Series. So there's some huge fights out there for them, and that's where it shows. You take the chances like John has. Although he's had some losses in his career, he's come back, fought back, and his last 2 fights have by all means been 2 of the most entertaining knockouts we've seen in a long time.
John's mentioned, Sirotkin's awkward style. So what do you make of this fight in terms of how do you see it going?
I hope and I think John Ryder can knock him out on Saturday.
And obviously John's the mandatory for WBA Super. Obviously Callum's got that belt. Is that the plan, to make that fight as soon as possible, or to hold off? What are the plans there if John was to be victorious? I mean,
obviously Callum's just come out of a long stint in the World Boxing Super Series, had the fight against George Groves, and there's a number of fights on his agenda as well. So I think Eddie's sitting down with Callum obviously, and we'll see what happens Saturday night and go from there. But there's especially with the US events now, so many big fights out there for John, so many big fights out there for all of our fighters, that he gets the win on Saturday night, we'll be in such a great position.
And Rocky has that WBA regular belt. He's fighting Canelo. Just that's one which I want the details of how that opportunity come about.
Yeah, I think Eric Gomez came on to Eddie after not too long ago and said, would it be a fight Rocky was interested in? It's one of those fights you just can't turn down. It's a chance for Rocky to do what he's wanted to do, box in the US, Madison Square Gardens, in front of against one of the biggest stars in world boxing, and it was a fight Rocky was never going to turn down. So it's looking forward to that one, December 15th.
Is it a thought that even if Rocky isn't victorious you can actually still put him in that world-class level category because he's fighting somebody who is pound for pound one of the best 3 fighters in the world?
Yeah, exactly. So even if he wants to go out there, he wants to go out there and win the belt and retain his belt. And whichever way it goes, Rocky is still up there. He's won his world title, and there's plenty of fights out there. But it's an opportunity you just can't turn down. Canelo's been in against the best fighters out there, the last 2 fights against Kennedy Golovkin, and his view, he wants to step up and win a world title at another weight, but you can't write Rocky off. He's a much bigger guy, and even regardless of the result on the 15th of December, and I know Rocky, we're all behind Rocky for the win, he'll still be up there. There's huge fights left still out there for him.
One rumour I have seen is if Canelo was to defeat Rocky Fielding, then Canelo would be looking to fight Callum Smith in May at Anfield, because Anfield just had its boxing licence approved to be able to hold fights there.
Yeah, I saw that news.
Is that something that you guys have considered or thought about if things didn't go as planned for Rocky?
I don't think we've gone that far. Obviously, our key is for Rocky to get the win on the 15th of December. So, Rocky's our guy. We want him to go out there, get the win, as I say. And obviously, as you would have seen, Canelo's just signed a large deal with DAZN in the US, and that will be, I think their preference would be that he fights in the US because he's a superstar in the US. Obviously, he's the highest rating pay-per-view boxer currently active, and he's moved on to the DAZN platform. So I think their preference, I guess, would be for him to stay in the UK.
And there's obviously been stuff going on about Khan-Brook at the minute, the 147 being agreed, but then Amir Khan wanting the £10 rehydration limit. What is the situation with that?
It's all still going on and on, to be honest. Hopefully we get it made for 2019, but no news just yet.
Is that a fight which, if it happens now, it still drums up the same amount of interest that it would have done 2 or 3 years ago, in your opinion?
Yeah, I believe so, because I believe boxing's in the best time it's ever been. 2 years ago it was in a great place, but I think it's carried on growing and developing, and I think the fight will be massive now as well.
We are waiting on news on Dillian Whyte. I saw rumours that Jarrell Miller's got an opponent already lined up. Luis Ortiz is going to have another fight. So he's losing the possible opponents that have been mentioned. What are the chances of December 22nd with Derek Chisora? Is that just seeming like the likeliest possibility now for Dillian?
We're still looking at a range of opportunities, but December 22nd is still the date we're going for, and I think you'll see news very soon.
Well, Frank, thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thank you, mate. Good to see you.